Distinguished guests and colleagues, extremely warm welcome to the latest Sir John Cass Business School Dean's Lecture, given this evening by Dominique Senequier. Welcome. Before I hand over to Professor Sylvester to say a little about the Cass Business School and our distinguished speaker, I'll spend a few moments just talking about City University of London. City is the only university in London to be both committed to academic excellence and focused on business and the professions. We are the University of the City of London, and the Lord Mayor is our rector. We have over 19,000 students, of whom about half are from the UK, just under 30% from the rest of the European Union, and just over 30% from the rest of the world. And over a third are postgraduates. Our reputation has strengthened considerably over the past few years, as many of you will know. We're now positioned within the top 4% of universities in the world and in the top 30 in the UK. To achieve this position, we have invested in outstanding members of academic staff. We've developed our existing staff. We've transformed our estate and also our infrastructure in order to help retain and attract those staff and students. For example, we built 6 subterranean lecture theatres. It's very much a London thing, people digging out their cellars and so on. We've been doing it on a big scale underneath our main campus. We've opened the largest student sports facility in central London, and next month Princess Royal will open our magnificent new main entrance in Northampton Square. And these investments have brought impressive returns. We double the proportion of our academic staff, producing world-leading and internationally excellent research, and improved the satisfaction of our students by more than any other university in the country, to have the most satisfied undergraduate students in London. And after achieving that, we've been considering how best to signal that to the wider world. And we decided to join the University of London. Now, this isn't a new idea. I don't lay claim to it. It's something the university first considered right back in 1924. And we've been considering it ever since. Anyway, we've made the move, and we joined the University of London last September. We're still an autonomous organisation, but we're part of this bigger group. Hence our name change. It's now City, University of London, you may have spotted. So that larger group includes UCL, King's, Queen Mary, LSE, LBS, SOAS, and so on. But we're not resting on our laurels. We aspire to be a leading global university, and so we'll retain this unwavering focus on quality, we'll grow where we can, and we'll reach out in partnership to others in London, across the country, and very much around the globe. And as you would expect, Cass very much embraces this aspiration of the university as a whole, and it continues its upward trajectory among the elite of the global business schools. So on that note, I'll hand over to Professor Joe Sylvester. Joe.
Thank you, Sir Paul. Welcome. It gives me great pleasure. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Cass, about Dominique, and about the Mergers and Acquisition Research Centre. And I promise to be brief because Dominique's obviously the star of this evening. So to begin with, I'd like to thank Mark's senior sponsors, BP, Credit Suisse and EY, and sponsors ARDIAN Private Equity, Merger Market and Willis Towers Watson for their support for the research that the M&A Research Centre does, and also events such as this. Cass Business School, which, as Sir Paul has said, is part of City University of London, is a leading global business school driven by world-class knowledge, innovative education and a vibrant community. Cass has been at the leading edge of business education for 50 years, and this year we celebrate our 50th anniversary. I know that Sir Paul mentioned a few things about the university, but you can't ask the Deputy Dean to stand here and not say a little bit about the business school. I'm proud to say that we now rank in the top 6 business schools in the UK, the top 21 in Europe, and the top 50 in the world. And I should say that there are more than 17,000 business schools worldwide. We also educate nearly 4,000 students each year on globally renowned programs across all levels of study, from undergraduate to master's to executive education and MBA. I think we've probably got a few here today. So have you? Yes, students, hello. On graduating, our students join a 38,000 strong alumni community across more than 160 countries. But its research and impact are central to what we do at CAS. And I'm pleased to say that in the Research Excellence Framework, 84% of our research, which was conducted by the faculties of Finance, Actuarial Science and Management, was judged to be either leading, world-leading or internationally excellent. And of particular relevance for tonight is the fact that we also ranked second in Europe for the impact that our research has on business and policy. And I think that ranking clearly reflects the activities and success in part of the Mergers and Acquisitions Research Centre. Anyway, enough of the adverts. So in terms of tonight's agenda, we're honoured to have Dominique Senequier with us this evening. She will give a talk with the importance of sharing success for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. And this will be followed by a question and answer session, which will be moderated by our very own Scott Muller, the Professor, Founder and Director of Mergers and Acquisition Research Centre. We aim to finish between 7:30 and 7:45, but there'll be ample time afterwards for a few more drinks and nibbles in the area outside. So Dominique Senequier, President of ARDIAN, is internationally recognised as one of the predominant figures in the private equity world globally. In 1972, she was one of 7 women to be admitted to the École Polytechnique, which was founded by Napoleon in the first year that women were allowed in. She also holds a DEA in Banking and Monetary Economics from the University of Sorbonne. Beginning her career as an insurance commissioner for the French Ministry of Finance, Dominique joined the French insurance conglomerate GAN in 1980, and in 1996 she joined AXA Group, where she founded AXA Private Equity. In September 2013, the private equity group was spun off from AXA and renamed ARDIAN. And it has now grown to become the biggest European private equity company and 4th largest worldwide. It has $60 billion in assets under management and 430 employees worldwide. Dominique Senequier herself often features in the most famous worldwide rankings. Since 2012, she has been ranked every year in Fortune's annual Most Powerful Women International list. And in 2012, she was also made a Chevalier de la Légion d'Honneur, the most prestigious recognition in France. In addition to her ARDIAN role, Dominique is Vice President of the Supervisory Board of Hermes. She's also a member of the Institute of Actuaries, which is also relevant to CAS, by the way, because we have the world's leading actuarial science programs and the largest in Europe. And just before passing the microphone, I would like to thank Dominique on behalf of CAS and the university for ARDIAN's very loyal support for the school and our research over the past 4 to 5 years. They're an active contributor to the research agenda of Mark, but they've also provided scholarships for MSc Corporate Finance students, and the 4 graduates of those scholarships are now doing very well at Tristan Capital Partners, Citibank, Kennett Partners in San Francisco, and William Blair. What a group to have helped through CAS. Anyway, so let's please give a very, very warm welcome to Dominique. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Paul Curran, and thank you, Professor Joe Sylvester. Thank you for welcoming me and ARDIAN, and for all of you coming this evening. I have been a long time ago at the same place as you, as a student. Actually, one effectively of the first 7 women at Polytechnique in 1972, which I should never say any longer, working incredibly hard to get the best marks and to improve my skills. I have to tell you something. I have always been very bad in English, very bad in literature, and only good in mathematics. and not so good in philosophy neither. It was a real issue for the baccalaureate. And fortunately, I had a very close cousin who was very good in literature. And he told me, Dominique, I can help you if you want. You can help rehearse for this exam. And the mark I obtained was very good, very good. And in the end, my cousin was much more happy than myself. And I tell you this story because it shows me from the beginning that the sharing success is very, very important. I believe that it was the first time in my life when I really realized the power of sharing success. And I think it is very important at all levels of leadership for building a very sustainable business. And once you have reached this success, your role will be always to allow other people to achieve their own success. This is really very important to develop them. A few words about ARDIAN. ARDIAN was created under the leadership of Claude Bébéar. Claude Bébéar is a very well-known French entrepreneur, maybe the biggest French entrepreneur. Sometimes his nickname was Godfather of the French business. He began his career with a very small mutual insurance company in Rouen, not known at all, but it would call Mutuelles Unies. I'm sure that no one in the room knows Mutuelles Unies. And he developed this company into the #1 in the world. He bought many companies, first in France, and then, as you know, in US, Australia, London, everywhere. And then he ended up with UAP in 1996. I met him in 1975 when I went out of École Polytechnique, and we became friends, even if we were not working together. And in 96, when I left GAN, he gave me this opportunity to create my own success by trusting me in this project of third-party asset management for private equity. This rule was very simple. I give you 1 franc, because it was French franc, can you believe it, at that time? Give you 1 French franc, and I can tell you it's not a very good success in Texas when you do fundraising. To raise a French franc fund is nightmare. So anyway, I hope not to come back to French franc. So for the first fund, I would get 1 franc only if I would find 2 other francs from external investors. Over the years, it went so well that now we are managing $60 billion. But at the beginning, there was, I can tell you, 0. And the company has been growing and growing, hiring people. We launched new funds, as you call in private equity, new generations of funds and new activities. We began by a pure French buyout fund. And then we enlarged to Germany. It was a very big adventure. And then we launched fund of funds, venture funds, private debt, infrastructure, and, as you have seen maybe in the papers, real estate last year. We have opened offices all around the world. We have 12 of them, the 2 latest being San Francisco and Madrid, but we have also Beijing, Singapore, and many of them in Europe. Then in 2013, was a turning point for us because ARDIAN made a spin-off from the AXA group at that date. And in the end, overnight, because we had very good consultants, and they said you need to do the big bang. You need to change your shareholder, change your name, change your color, change everything. I said, they are crazy, I cannot, I was focused on the last piece of negotiation. But I think they were very good advisors, because we did it everything in the same time. And then the ARDIAN brand emerged as a strong brand with strong values, and I will speak about it a little later. We formed this company as a firm majority owned by the employees. We are now, and Joe said it, 450 professionals, and we have 60 billion from 580 investors all over the world, including, I must say, a lot of high net worth individuals also. Today, I'm very proud of what my team has built, and I'm sure that this team is the strongest asset that I have. I have nothing else. It may sound like a cliche, and you will certainly have heard many other CEOs talking about their people as their biggest assets. But I can tell you at ARDIAN, it is true. We are very focused on people, and we are a business based only on people. How did we manage this, and how did we manage to get this very stable team and long-term deal? By sharing. So what we did, sharing rewards, sharing a purpose, sharing power, responsibility, and accountability. All employees in a firm should be rewarded for their contribution to value creation in a firm. So first, profit sharing. It's basic and it's the most simple way. But what does that mean, profit sharing? De Gaulle, the president of France, many of you know who's De Gaulle, after World War II, he was, despite the fact that he was a general, he was socially oriented. He was, as you know, a general during World War II who opposed the occupation by Hitler and who, flying to London, made this very famous call in June 1940 for a France libre, freedom for France. And he was followed by some people, not as many as there should have been. After the war, he created a scheme called Participation and Intéressement. In fact, it's a base for sharing profit with the employee. It means that every year a company makes the profit and should give a little percentage to all the employees. At ARDIAN, we have extended this scheme to all the subsidiaries outside of France. And every employee within the firm gets exactly the same amount. This way of sharing is totally unique. No other group in France or born in France, say, did it. Because usually French groups limit the scheme to France, not only, but also they apply this scheme proportionally to the salary. So the way we did it of the profit sharing, equal and all over the world, is very unique. The second point that you can do is sharing capital with the employees. What does that mean? It means that you need to try to get your employees as shareholders in order also they have the mind spirit of being shareholders. We encourage all the CEOs of the company to do it. And in ARDIAN, 80% of the employees are investors in the company. During the spin-off, I have to tell you something, I spent nights working on this aspect, which was not easy. It was essential for me, and I had to be very creative, as creative as I could, to be able to involve 250 employees as shareholders from the beginning. At the end, we managed to make it happen, and the most gratifying for me was to see that the vast majority of people, of employees, were following the project, not only following, but they were, in fact, willing to invest more than we could offer them. The LPs, the clients, they like the structure of capital because this company is now fully independent, and they believe that their interests are fully aligned between them and the 250, or now it's 250 was when we did the spin-off, and now we have 350 shareholders. Because each year we are trying to put more people we have hired into the capital. The third easy way is sharing capital gains. And on this, we have been very innovative. So sharing capital gains with the employees of the portfolio companies. Since 2008, 8,200 employees in the world in 15 companies benefited from this scheme of capital gain sharing. It is still unusual today. It means that when a fund, one of our funds, sell a company, we make a calculation and the company gives back to the employees as a bonus part of the capital gain. A small part, but a part. Back then, I must say in 2008, it was honored, not only honored, but rather controversial. It has been very tough for me to defend this practice. Not all investors like it, and my peers were furious of this innovation. I can tell you they didn't like it at all. I think that I was very red, socialist, communist maybe. It is not always an easy job to convince people to share. It's not a natural idea. And I remember, I don't want to shock anyone, but at an investor meeting, one British LP came to me and that, but Dominique, this sharing will reduce my internal rate of return. I said, yes, certainly, but a little, very little. And this reduction would not only be negligible in the end, but in a competitive environment, to get deals, it will give us a label of preferred partner. Once again, sharing success is very important. Sharing is not only about financials. I don't want you to misunderstand me. What is also very important is when you work for a shared purpose. As a leader, you must make sure that all your employees are in the same boat and they share the same purpose. At ARDIAN, I like to remind my people that we are all working together to enhance the returns for pension funds for so many people over the world. New York City people, I'm not authorized to speak about clients, so I not quote, but so many people all over the world. We are managing so many assets for them, for teachers, for employees, firefighters, public workers. We are working also for so many sovereign funds all over the world. And we like to give them good returns. This is something we must all be very proud of. And don't think it is a false claim or something that is very vague, because we are good at numbers and we do calculation. When we do the calculation, it is not minor amounts. We manage part of the assets of Canadian pension plan, and we've calculated that the added value that we have created over time was above $700 for each beneficiary, and we are managing only a very small portion of those assets. So it is important for our people to be kept reminded of this purpose. But purpose can go much further. At ARDIAN, we are also focused on ESG, environment, social, governance. Yes, I know everyone says that we are committed to ESG, but for us, it is not just a communication tool. We try to implement it not only in ARDIAN, but also to encourage all the portfolio companies to enhance their practices as well, because we believe that our responsibility towards the portfolio companies extend far beyond the duty to create financial value. As an investor, we have implemented yearly ESG audit in the portfolios. We have also encouraged other private equity managers to do it, because as we are fund of fund manager, we tend to practice ESG audit on other managers. As I think you have understood from my first part, we are very focused on the S of ESG. ESG, environment, social, and governance. I like a lot governance. I'm not an expert, I must say, in environment. But S, social, is something which is very important for us. Finally, I must say on this point, when it comes to purpose, we have also created, like others, but a very important ARDIAN Foundation. Maybe it's too discreet, too shy, and we will have to speak a little more about what we do at ARDIAN Foundation. It is to help young students from disadvantaged backgrounds to pursue education. We started in France, but now we have expanded and reached now China, UK, Germany, Italy, and the US. And when I talk about shared purpose, this is shared as well. It is not just that we give a check every year, not at all. 70 employees of ARDIAN, including me, are also providing individual support to these students as mentors. We have 450 employees, I told you, so 70 out of 450, it's quite a lot. Because we really believe that working for a shared purpose can create more happiness. And you know this very bright French writer, Stendhal, he used to say, the hunt for happiness starts again every morning. So to give happiness to your employees is certainly one of the main drives that you can pursue for a company. Shared purpose is important, but a further element to share, which is very, very important for the young, is responsibility. At ARDIAN, we have always given large responsibilities to very young people. I'm not saying young, but even very young people. And it is how they grew up in the company and how they build the company. We have permanently like 80 trainees, 80 interns. Recently, we've been thinking on how we would be able to build our firm in the next 20 years. We are all 20 years, but 20 years ahead. And we started a program to allow for our younger people to think with us about this. We call it Quest 2036. In this project, our young talents of the millennial, we call it millennial generation, said frankly that it is not only about money. So it's easier for a leader to think it's only remuneration. Not at all, they said, not at all. It's mostly about the common project that we will be part of, and even the capacity that you have to empower me. After all, I could understand it, because one of the most inspiring men to talk about that was Nelson Mandela, when he said, it is in your hands to make a better world for all who live in it. So how we do it in ARDIAN? Again, by sharing more and more responsibility, accountability, delegation, ownership of one action, to promote leadership and creativity. This is essential to maintain maybe the biggest value of a company, which is the entrepreneurial spirit. We need to keep it at all levels. If you don't maintain this entrepreneurial spirit, then you risk to lose it and to give ground to a culture of, I call it a victim spirit culture, a culture of complaining. I'm sure you have met that in companies. And this can kill, very certainly, a company. There will be always in life people who take the position of victims, no matter the situation they are in. But if you share responsibilities, you give yourself a better chance to make a difference between leaders and victims. I want to talk just about one of our young partners. I can't because he's not in the room today. Benoît Verbrugge. He joined us when he was 23 years old. He was an intern. He began with us, Benoît Verbrugge, as an intern at 23 years old. 12 years later, when he was 35, we gave him the job of head, not a small job, head of our New York office, a huge responsibility, especially when you know that he had spent 12 years only in France. I mean, he had traveled for fundraising, but he was really a French guy. But we were very right to trust him, and he has been so successful in developing this subsidiary and developing the client base and developing the team. And now Benoît must be around 40, and he's a member of the ARDIAN's executive committee, a very well-deserved position. Our young people, they say, okay, we can be successful, we can be empowered, but on top of that, it's not enough. They are very demanding, and more than my generation, I can tell you, much more, much more. Money is not enough, shared purpose is not enough, sometimes it gives me a headache, but anyway, they want also shared work. What does that mean? It means also they achieved shared success. It means they want no silos. They don't like when the company is split into silos. They want people working together and having success together, communication. So you need to share your power, you need to share your responsibilities and allow all your employees to be very innovative and brilliant every day. They are not just here to obey. I think it's not this generation. They are here to grow with you, and they can only do so if you share with them. It is also, for the students who are in the room, it is also your responsibility for you, because you need also to pick the right leader that will enable you to grow. This is what will make you successful. On my side, I love this young generation. It's not an easy one. I love it because they are in a world which is more and more complex. They have to face also this digital world. And of course, we must embrace all what is digital. It brings huge benefits, and we work hard daily with the portfolio companies to help them to transform their business in a digital way. We held in January in Paris a digital seminar with all the managing directors for all the company and some consultants and some heads of the digital departments of French companies like Total, and it was very interesting and they loved it. The young people in this room are more experts than people of my age in digital, but I tell you something I'm sure and convinced because I see it from the returns of experience from the young people. They want to share and to still share shared experience. There are times when the digital world can create silos and same thinking. In social media, the danger of reinforcing one kind of approach to life and not be open to many views and perspectives. So the power of one person has its limits. And so we must not forget that the human condition is one of shared experience. Human beings need to share. They need to share the good, the bad. They need to share the theater, the concerts, the sports. And they need to celebrate success and also, as you know, unfortunately, to mourn together. Last year, ARDIAN turned 20, and it was great for us to look back on our growth successes. And the most enjoyable part, I can tell you, was when we got together with our clients, with partners, entrepreneurs, employees, in order to celebrate together a big concert. And a concert, as you can guess, of classical music, not a pop or rock or... That's my weakness, classical music. So even I think it was some opera. Working together is a shared experience. Digital progress should not diminish the power of shared experience and shared values. So what I am sharing with you, I'm not saying that I am right. I'm not saying at all that I hold the truth, that I can tell you. I'm not saying that at ARDIAN we do everything perfectly. Sometimes we don't do it right, but we try our best. You will live in a world, for the students, of money, of economics. But money is not the most important. I would like to quote a great Chinese intellectual who just died at the age of 100 years and 11 years. 111. Very rare, very rare, very rare. I'm talking about Zhu Yugong, also known as the father of pinyin. You know, it was kind of a Roman writing for Chinese to make it easier. This man was very well known and he wrote many books and he was an opponent to all Chinese regimes, all of them. Shortly before his death, so recently, he was being interviewed about the evolution of China. And he said, the Chinese people are getting rich. Well, it's not important. In the end, human progress is a progress towards democracy. Sharing profits, sharing capital, sharing responsibilities, sharing values, I believe that this should be the purpose of every company. because we are our better selves when we share. Thank you very much.